Last month, I published this story. It's based off of internal government documents I got. CATSA is paying a lot of money, $2.7 billion to be exact, to a company called GardaWorld to do its airport screening. Well, turns out CATSA received more than 100 complaints in the past year and a half. People used words like threatening, appalling, power trip, but unprofessional conduct of officers topped that list. That story resonated with Canadians from coast to coast, and dozens of you shared with me your own airport security horror stories. But I also heard from screening officers themselves, some who've left the job, and they tell me there's more to the story. They pointed to systemic issues that might explain why this might be happening.
The environment for working for CATSA and Garda at the Ottawa airport is very toxic, very chaotic, and there's a revolving door of agents that is constant. It's a high-stress work environment, and that combined with the toxicity from Garda supervisors and the constant flow of passengers can really get to a screening officer and cause them to become overworked, to become overstressed, and that is compounded by the fact that they often miss their breaks, they miss their lunches.
I think the majority of my colleagues while I worked there were very committed to doing their job well. They weren't trying to be rude, they weren't trying to make their passengers feel uncomfortable, but there are a lot of things that we can change, like putting an effort in to make sure that we have good people in charge of us. And I also feel like we were not very well compensated for the work that we were doing. And I think that's why the turnover is so bad, because there isn't really an incentive to stay there.
Another officer who's LGBTQ says they experienced verbal abuse from colleagues. They didn't want to be on camera, but shared their story.
I was called names based on my presentation. I witnessed colleagues do inappropriate pat-downs to other colleagues and then pass it off as jokes. To tell the truth, it felt like hitting a wall, because no matter how many times I went to upper management, the people responsible never had any consequences.
I contacted CATSA and GardaWorld to put these concerns to them. Both of them did not want to do an interview with me. But Garda wrote it disagrees with the characterization of its management and says officers work in a healthy and productive environment. And CATSA says it trusts Garda to work out staff concerns. But screening officers want things to change. They hope speaking out might help their colleagues and future travelers.